Military jacket. Military jacket. Now this is interesting. Definitely don't have the time to go through all of the stories from the Army. But let's just go through this one by one. All right, DD Form 1916 processing. Record military processing, Armed Forces United States. So the AFQT percentile, this is important because it tells you what my ability is. I haven't figured that out yet. I try to tell people like when I got like 1430 SAT scores, which I didn't know it at the time. I might have chosen a different path if I did. I was getting invited to like UCSC, which is University of California, Santa Cruz, University of Hawaii, Pacific or something like that. But I thought I'd already like fucked around enough in high school. I was on the wrestling team. I had, that going for me, but I thought I'd torpedoed college. So, oh yeah, I think I was saying in an early video. The recruiter was going after me hard, hitting me with that wrestling angle, giving me some cool like wrestling videos. Didn't really relate to him with like the whole, like I'm sure I would have been drinking with him, partying with him if I did that stuff, but I didn't. So I could kind of tell, you could kind of tell when people don't really get you. But when I took my test to get in, he was like, oh, you're as smart as at least you're as smart as you think you are, something like that. I was a smart ass. But he told me I had like the highest DLAB, which is the Defense Language Aptitude Battery Test on your aptitude for learning languages. One of the highest, he said, at that testing center they had. So I'm trying to figure out how to present my abilities in not an egotistical way. I'm doing it more in the way of like catch up. Like if we're going to be talking about stuff, if I'm going to be presenting who I am, and I'm inviting criticism for you to present how I come off. It's like, I'm not on the lower spectrum of intelligence, I'm on the higher. I'm not saying I'm the smartest person, but I'm in the top maybe 5% of physical and intellectual capability, just consistently based off of what I've done and tested myself against the world. When I meet other smart people, that's what I try to tell them, to try to edit out the ego. I say I believe in objective measurements of intelligence. So like that's why I bring up the SATs, because that's an objective measurement of intelligence. This record of military processing is another objective measurement of intelligence. I didn't study for the ASVAB. I studied for like 2 weeks for the SAT. Getting terrible grades, but I was like, all right, the SAT is important, and I should probably like take this seriously. I got a book on how to study for the SAT. I didn't get a tutor or anything, and I read it. And that caught me up on some stuff that I hadn't learned in the classes because I wasn't paying attention to them. If I put more effort, I don't know if I could get it perfect, but I probably could have gotten in the 1500s. But I got it good enough just to be like, all right, that's cool, I'm not an idiot. I got a lot better than a lot of people I know who went to good schools. If you get over 1400, you can actually apply just to test into the Ivy Leagues. I learned that later on. I don't know what the scoring is now. Now the rubric's all different, so these numbers don't mean anything to people who are taking it now. So if you're a military person or you know anything about military testing, this document should tell you that I have a high aptitude for certain stuff, and which is how I got into the military intelligence. When I went in the Army, I told you I just wanted to check through that Army door and kind of peek in and be like, oh, what's going on in here? But so I was ready to do anything. They're like, all right, you could be like artillery guy, you could be blah, blah, blah. But then after I took these tests, because this guy was going after me for a couple years, because my brother's a couple years older. And so, but like after I took the test, I'm pretty sure the recruiters get more incentives if they get a smart one, because we're harder to get into the military, especially someone who like could go to college. It's like, why are we going in the Army? Because they, and that's also why they gave us a 50,000 signing bonus. I didn't collect it because I didn't finish my enlistment. I signed up for 5 years. I got out in 2, so that 50,000 went away. I never really cared about money anyways. Yeah, no, I just cared about my own little path in life and trying to be like a developed human being. But yeah, they like people like me. They like the smart ones. Where they say we're the top 10% of the military intelligence. And we would joke around, yeah, we're the top 10% of the bottom 10% of society. But yeah, so this proves that. And then also I think, is there my DLAB on here? My DLAB's probably on here. 98 X-ray, which is in linguist, which is interesting because see how life is kind of funny. My dad studied linguistics at Cal State San Diego. Studied linguistics, studied Spanish, got himself a little Mexican girlfriend or my mom, and then they got married. And I found that like when we were studying Korean in the Army, then people would get Korean girlfriends. When you're studying the language, you usually go and like try to find someone from that like culture, you fall in love with the culture either before you started studying language or afterwards. So that's usually how it works out. But it's funny that I got a linguist. But when I went in for my initial consultation and stuff, I was like, oh, I'll be artillery guy. I was going to be infantry even. I was just like, yeah, that's because I like physical stuff. I like all spectrums of society. So I definitely like the rowdy guys. I've always gotten along with the bros. I guess that's what we call them now, the bros, you know. I guess that's the bastion of manhood in modern society is brohood. And I'm not talking about the assholes. I'm just talking about rowdy people who like to fuck, fight, and drink. But they were like, nah, dude, you should probably do something more your aptitude. So they talked me into intelligence, and that's what I did. This is the proof of the bonus, $50,000 bonus. I guess they just upped it. I think after, this was the best it got. After 9/11, I think it went down because so many people were signing up. But they were giving us 50,000. So that's like a 10,000 extra a year. I know dudes who got that. That was like a decent down payment on a house. So that's another path I could have gotten on. Is if I was like, if I'd done normal military stuff and then gotten out with my GI Bill and that $50,000 bonus, I could have bought a house. What is it? I forgot what it's called. Is that the GI Bill? But yeah, you could buy a house, no down payment. 50,000 could have been the first year or two's mortgage payments. 2000 to 2005, I could have gotten the equity from 2005 2008. I always read like The Economist since I was in speech and debate team before The Economist carried, like, before it was so commercialized. But like, you know, you read the trades and everyone was like predicting the housing bubble for like a year before it came. So if I was all about money and all about trying to just be on that track, these are ways I could have probably been financially secure by now. But instead, I'm gathering experiences. So that bonus meant nothing to me, and I turned that down. I never used the Army GI Bill. 98XL, 5 years, went to Defense Language Institute after Fort Leonard Wood. This is all interesting stuff. This is also cool because when I talk about the military and people try to be like, support our troops and heroes and blah, 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 it's like, I don't mind talking about the military more honestly because I've served with these dudes. I have a lot of friends, a lot of family who are in, so I just talk about it straight. You know, when your country lies to send you into voluntary wars of aggression, then soldiers are merely pawns in the game. And I've read the military history. I read as many books as I can about these conflicts that we're in. I don't have the time to read them all, but the troops know. The troops know about mission creep, and they know about how bullshit it all is. And when you think you're helping a soldier by keeping your mouth shut about the bullshit, you're not. I learned that firsthand from basic training when our drill instructor told us some real talk. Like, we're doing the basic training stuff where they're just trying to break down physically because they're trying to put you in high stress environments for a combat zone. I get that. We're going to talk more about like basic training in a minute. And also there's times that we're doing counseling, like the Army values and blah, 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 and like do the right thing and like don't be a blue falcon. I don't even think they use that anymore. But like, but then there's time when you have dead time in between the two. And if you have a good basic drill instructor, he's going to give you some real talk. And this dude, we're just in a room, we're in between probably like values training, and we're not doing physical shit. So this is the day that we're like just chilling, like we're having a breather. And he's just like, you know what, some of you guys like are gonna have this or that type of career. And he's like, he told us like, sometimes the military is gonna ask you to do some things that like you just have to use your own judgment. And he talked about his deployments and how he had to take the anthrax vaccine, and how his wife had 2 miscarriages while he was on the anthrax vaccine. So his wife kept having miscarriages while he kept taking this vaccine. Like, he's not sure what's in it, but he has to take it. And he said, I am not taking it again. And he's like, just don't let the military fuck with you. And he just gave us just a little bit of personal experience, and every now and then they'd be real with you like that. And he was a good soldier. You could tell a good soldier when you're in the military, and you know, like when you're with the troops, you can tell the guys who are just in it for money. You can tell the dumbasses who had no other option. Maybe they knocked up a girl, or maybe they were just like about to go to jail. And then you could just tell the guys who come from military families, or even if they're the first one of the family. But that's the backbone of our military and our country, if you think about it. There's military families who serve out of duty, and there's a lot of those dudes. And this guy was a good dude, but he was like, the military and that vaccine, maybe he was right about it, maybe he wasn't. But he's like, they're not taking another one of my babies. And he's like, that vaccine is fucking up my family. He's like, just sometimes there'll be those decisions you have to make, and just don't let the military treat you like, I forgot the exact words, but he was just, that's what I took from it. Just like, military is one thing, and you know, you want patriotic, you know, loyal soldiers, blah blah blah, but you're still a human being with dignity. He was a good dude, and that's why those guys are drill instructors, because you try to pick the best soldiers, you know, to inculcate the new generation. Yeah, all my drill instructors were awesome people. I mean, even the ones you don't like, it's like they're all just men of, even women of integrity. So one of the women, our commander, our captain, she was we didn't see much of her, she's a captain, but there was this one day that we're doing one of those values trainings, and then the drill instructors would fuck with you in certain creative ways, because you're there and you're stressed out, you're not sleeping, you're just trying to do the PT and keep up, no matter how much shit in shape you are because of the lack of sleep. You're just like, you can barely knock out push-ups anymore. You're sitting on the toilet and you're passing out falling asleep. You learn how to sleep standing up. Many people fall out formation asleep. You cry at least once. Everyone I knew cried at least once. I was just in the toilet again. These little times you're alone, just like, what the fuck am I doing? You also have a lot of bonding because of that. What's a basic training story? Wrestling in our barracks, just like, you know, oh, you can fight, you know, let's go. And you know, there's a big black guy, he's tall but lanky. He was wild, because that's the cool thing about basic training, people coming from all over the United States. So it's like they're all from all their small towns, and this dude's from like Missouri or something. No, not Missouri, we're in Missouri, but he's somewhere in the Midwest. And he's like, he said he was on his wrestling team. I was like, I was the captain of my wrestling team, let's go. And he got me. I didn't want to fucking hurt myself or him, and he's being crazy because we had like cement floors. So like, yeah, he got the best of me then. But like, we would go back and forth. So I had my canteen. I would put like water on his bed, and he'd come like back, and like his bed would be all wet at the end of the day. And so he got me back for that. It's like I'm showering with everyone else. We have like this group shower of like 20, 30 people, and he walks into the shower with my mattress. So like it was the one up. It's like, fuck the canteen, here's your mattress, dude. And I was just cracking up. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I just took the mattress and I put it in like an empty barracks down the hall and just got another one. Like, just solve the problem real quick. No one has to find out about it. No one get in trouble. And yeah, what else? And so all that stuff going on, all these people were in this values training, and they come out and they're like, okay, we just got word. Also, most of us are MI, most of us are military intelligence. What I notice is MOS, your job for the military, they try to group you together in basic training, I think. So if you're in basic training and you're infantry, you're probably going to basic training with a bunch of other infantry. There was a lot of MI there, a lot of military intelligence. And then there were there are a lot of linguists like me, the guys who learn languages. I was originally given Arabic, and then I switched it to Korean because I was thinking long term, all right, maybe Korean's close. I wanted Chinese. I thought that was going to be better for business. Everyone's talking about the WTO and China and trade, and I was like, all right, maybe Chinese is going to be better for business later on. But then a best friend I made in basic training was in Korean, so I was like, all right, I switched to Korean instead. But originally I was Arabic. Why did they give the guy who looks Arabic? Go figure, right? So, but there were interrogators there. There were all these MI guys. So we're sitting there in values training, and someone comes out and they say, okay, just to give you an idea of who's in the room, a bunch of military intelligence guys. And they're like, we're like halfway through the training, 6 weeks or something like that out of 12 weeks. Or maybe it's 10 weeks. I forgot how long now basic training is, 10 or 12 weeks. And they're like, okay, there is a shipment of BDUs, of military equipment and clothing in the Middle East, indetermined, I forgot what country they said. This is 2000, remember. We don't have 9/11 and we don't have the war of Iraq or anything. So all of us are in the army being like, oh, we missed out on our Vietnam and we want our movie. It's like, that's how stupid dominant culture is. It's like, we grew up on like Rambo and stupid shit. And like, you think that Apocalypse Now makes people not want to join the military? All of that shit is played to troops before they deployed. Like, no matter how violent and gory it is, if you put it to a narrative, and now you have the cynicism and the sarcasm, and they're getting laid and they're shooting guns, and that's bonding. And so it's like, we're all like, yeah, I want to fucking go to Vietnam and be like you have to actually experience combat to not desire it. And then now, like, I mean, I never experienced combat, but my friends, the people I know who have, don't want to go back. But then I've heard the stories of the people who do get addicted to it. Also, combat journalists too. There is a thrill and a rush that is addictive, but the way it's portrayed in culture is enticing. And as a young idiot, we're like, oh yeah, we can't wait to fucking go do shit. One of our sergeants set us straight. Our command sergeant in basic training was like, he got bullets whizzing by his head. He was in Desert Storm and he was a badass and we all respected him. And he was a hard-nosed dude, and he tried to ingrain in us the seriousness of our undertaking, that when you're in the military, it doesn't matter what your MOS is, you're there to fight and win land wars. That's the point of the Army. And so we're in that room, and they're like, a shipment of BDUs or whatever, and equipment was stolen in convoy in some Middle Eastern country, and we feel it's for some terrorist group that got it, and that's what the commander was telling us. He interrupted our values discussion to say this. We just got word that this happened, that someone just stole, equipment. They're going to impersonate U.S. soldiers. This is a big deal, and what we're going to do is they've asked us to speed up our basic training to send you guys over there. They need people, and they need people now, and they want to, within a week or two, send this group there to deal with the situation. And they're just saying this straight face, just totally like, they're like, we know this isn't what you guys signed up for. Most of you guys have MIMOS, military intelligence. This isn't, you're not even supposed to see combat. I think as a linguist in Korean, I was supposed to learn Korean, learn how to use my equipment. After a year and a half of training, I was going to go to the DMZ. And some of us go to Seoul and are stationed as an attachment to like the Korean military and police. And then some of us go to the DMZ and we're sitting there with like a little antenna and we're in the bush in full camo gear, just listening to chatter. So it was a shit job. This is something no one really wanted to do, but it's interesting. Sometimes you get to like hang out with the rock soldiers, the Korean badasses over there. But yeah, so that was like probably the most aggressive. But most of the military intelligence jobs are like office jobs. And so they're like, we know it's not your MOS, so you guys can choose to not accept this. But they're asking us to send you guys, and they're asking us to speed up your basic training and send you over there within a week or two. So we're going to give you this choice right now. You can stay in this room, and you can choose on this advanced path, and then go to the Middle East and join this mission, despite your MOS or whatever else. Because they said they need us, they need our contingent of basic training guys. Or you could walk out that door and you can continue on the MOS path that you chose. And then they give us the time to think, and they like 5 minutes, and the whole room's freaking out because we're like 18 years old and we're not used to adults lying to us too, and so we're just like, oh my gosh, what's going on, and so I just remember turning to this dude, like friends you meet making stuff like that, and I was just like, well, this is what we signed up for, right? Because if you sign up for the Army, like I didn't sign up for the money, and I was ready to be infantry anyways. It's just I was given military intelligence because they said I tested well, but I was going to be a part of those who protect us and afford us the freedoms everyone else takes for granted. And so ironically, now I have a chance, and we're talking about Vietnam and war, so it's like, it's my shit. I like shooting the guns, I like doing all that shit. And so we were just like, I didn't cry, but I was just like, that gut drop, freaking reality check, like, shit just got real, alright? Like, my mom cried when I'm in the Army, being like, oh, I don't want my son to go to the war. I'm like, Mom, it's 2000, we don't have wars anymore. We're fine. That's what we thought in 2000. It's the most peaceful time, the end of history. We're not gonna have conflicts anymore. It's like, it was so far out of our mind, armed conflicts. Desert Storm was a joke. So that was like, oh shit, no, this is real. And then the dude next to me, when I looked at him and we're like, let's do it, dude. And then he was crying. He was like, because none of us signed up for this. So maybe a third, I know it was less than half, maybe a third to a fifth of the people stayed. And then everyone else just like, you looked at them, and they just like, it's like a whole kind of like, they look left, they look right, and they just kind of stand up like, this is what I signed up for. And we looked at them like, I never liked being like one of those dudes, so it's like, yeah, all right. I mean, you don't blame them. It's like, you didn't sign up for war. And then our commander comes out, the lady, the captain, and she's just smiling, and she's just like, this is what the Army's all about, and that's what they try to get into you. It's to fight and win land wars. It's like, no matter what your MO is, no matter what's going on, this is what it's about, is that we're the defense of our nation. And when you're called upon, you have to serve. And she was just like, that, you get shivers thinking about it, because it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's why. That's why you're supposed to sign up. Not to shit on the people who went outside, but they got their ass handed to them. So from what I hear, when you're outside, they were more dismayed to sit down on the sidewalk, and they were just fucking yelled at, and just like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know if that tactic's right. I don't know if they still do it, but I definitely think it showed a certain perspective, and none of us saw through that ruse. Like, we all were like, shit, this just got real. And it's rarely in life are you tested so thoroughly, where you're just really like, someone puts a choice before you, and then afterwards says, all right, now this reveals your character. And I have a couple dudes, no, one dude from basic training who I still am in contact with, and he stayed in that room too. And that's a big reason why I'm still in contact with him. And he tries to give me shit. He's like, oh, you went outside. And I'm like, fuck that, dude. I think he was in front of me. I was like, maybe you didn't see me, but like, no, that's not who we are. Is when your number's called, you go. And the rest of this, I've run out of time for the rest of this jacket, but it's pretty self-explanatory. I didn't get along with authority in high school. Why would I get along with authority in the military? A lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of stupid shit, which will, maybe I'll tell these stories later. My Korean teacher was the wife of my commander. She didn't like me. At one point she asked me, why are you in the military? It seems like you're not the type of person to be in the military. And I was like, because I, being a smart ass, I was like, you're not my chain of command, which she was, but she was civilian though. I was like, don't worry about that. It's not your job to tell whether I'm in the military or not. Just teach me Korean. But she was the wife of my commander, so my captain heard that story. So he had it out for me. He hated my ass. But going back to character, I never respected that guy anyways. Captain Margulies, Joseph Margulies. That fool got swung on by, I don't know if this is true, but apparently he tried to talk shit to some enlisted guy, and the guy so at night, just some enlisted guy being drunk, and he tried to pull rank on him or something, and the guy didn't give him respect, and he was gonna get him in trouble, and the guy just knocked him out right then and there, and that guy never got in trouble because it was so embarrassing. But these little things you hear, that's in the military, people's character is quickly revealed. And so you have the commanders people respect, and then the commanders people are like, all right, technically we can't disrespect him because you're chain of command, but no one thinks highly of that guy. They're just the same as lieutenants. You have your buddy bars and your lieutenants people respect, and then the lieutenants that technically you have to obey, but no one really respects that dude. So the commander was kind of like, I don't know, but this might be projection because I was always in trouble. I had my sergeants I respected, and the sergeants who were like that we knew that they would go to the Philippines for their trips, and we were like, oh, that guy's a creep or a perv or this or that. Yeah, but for me it was more discipline stuff. That's complicated. You can look through here and I think you can pretty much tell my character from all these documents. And then after so much trouble, eventually they were going to discharge me. I called my folks. I said, do you mind if I get out of the military, because I'm kind of over it now, but I didn't want to cause disrespect, shame to my family. We're a military family. My grandpa served. And my dad was like, do it, let's say in this high school, do what you feel is best. They're always very loving and supportive. And I'm like, thank you. I think I'm getting out. I just wanted to get your guys' advice first. And that was right before I went before the colonel of the base. And I knew that was my time to throw myself before the court. If I wanted to stay in, that was my time to come clean and say, all right, please let me stay in the military and serve. But instead I played it the other way, and I said, you know what, I don't know why I keep getting in trouble, but just yesterday I got in trouble too, and I brought up shit that wasn't even in my jacket yet about misinformations and stuff, and I was like, I just keep trying, but I keep fucking up, I don't know. And sure as shit, they're like, well, maybe the military's not for you, son, and then they let me out, which is a very cool and hard thing to do, because if you want to get out of the military and you've signed up, you're made an example of. It's very hard to get out. I signed up for 5 years, and you don't have a Bill of Rights anymore, they own you. There's a lot of people who are trying to get out when I got in trouble, who were still in long after I got out. People who are trying to eat their way out, which is you just keep failing PT tests, you just keep getting fatter and fatter until finally they chapter you out. But it's a morale thing. They don't want to incentivize that type of thing, so they keep you in and keep giving you grunt work, take you out of class, and keep giving you bullshit work so that way other people see that. You can't just get out that easily. So I was one of those dudes, but I also was a bit of a troublemaker. So at one point they would tell people not to talk to me, stop hanging around with McNerney, he's gonna make you look bad to the other commanders or to the other sergeants, or I don't know what. I'm gonna be bad for their career. So like my friends would tell me that. They'd be like, yo, they're trying to isolate you, they're telling us not to hang out with you. I'm like, oh, okay. So like I got this book called Guide to Discharges and GI Rights, and I would counsel other people. There's this one kid who became a Buddhist and found out he was gay and actually wrote a conscientious objector letter. And I'm the one who like told him how to do that. He was a kid with a college degree, but he's a really cool kid. I went hiking in Big Sur with him. I really thought I believed him. He was sincere and he really wanted out of the military. And I was like, this is how you do it. You write your conscientious objection letter, you start documenting it. And they fucked with that kid for a while. Like he was still in when I got out because they didn't want to let him out because he was a good soldier. But luckily with me, they're like, you know what? You're probably better out than in. And so I always tell people as a military, it was a mutual breakup. I didn't dump the military didn't dump me. They said, you should probably get out of here. And I was like, I should probably get out of here. And they let me out after 2 years. After spending $100,000 on me probably and getting me that top secret security clearance. So that's in there too. So I got my top secret security clearance in there. I got all my counselings, a lot of counselings. I got my little rebuttals and me being a smartass. I got a character reference from a supply sergeant I worked for, showing that I wasn't a bad soldier. Even my sergeant who helped chapter me out told me, you know, I have to tell you, you kept your room clean and you did good PT until I purposely failed that test. Oh, that's why I realized where the power lies. I was like, you know what, they're fucking with me so much, but like I could fuck with their performance reviews. And so I thought, well, if I fail this PT test, it's another failure for them, and that might look bad for them. And so I just sandbagged it and just kind of like walked around the labs and didn't do any push-ups or sit-ups. And so I don't know. I was too much of the military is not for anti-authoritarian people. But when I look back and I realized that my grandpa got in trouble too, I was like, that's just, you know, we're hard-headed Irishmen. That might be where like my grandpa on my Mexican side. It's like, we're not joiners. I wanted to look in that door, and I did. Got a lot of experience. I got a lot of lifelong friends. I got a perspective of the military that you don't get from the outside, and that's why that's so important. And a lot of character development. And I got this mental evaluation document, which is pretty much my certificate of not having donkey brains, which says that I was normal and well-adjusted. Maybe they just gave me that so that way I couldn't claim anything against the military, but that's my story and I'm going to stick with it.